But first, testimony gets underway at any moment in New Jersey for the former Olympian on trial for 2 counts of attempted murder. Michael Barisone is accused of shooting Lauren Kanarek twice in the chest. She spent 2 days on the witness stand. This morning, her boyfriend, Robert Goodwin, is on the stand. He'll face a second day of cross-examination. The defendant is accused of shooting at Goodwin but missing him. The state is expected to rest its case in chief at some point this afternoon. The defense is expected to start off today by playing some audio clips of secretly recorded conversations that Goodwin apparently captured days before the shooting. Here's the moment from yesterday when the defense started asking him about those secret recordings.
And at any point in time, did the prosecutor ask for that proof of purchase when he discussed this case with you?
I don't believe so.
Now, whose idea was it to purchase those recorders?
I don't recall.
Will you agree with me that they were purchased for a specific reason?
I mean, yes.
You had discussions with Lauren and her father with regards to putting a tape recorder in certain places to record conversations, correct?
I don't recall the specifics.
Well, who was in charge of these recorders? You or Lauren?
I was.
You were the one that physically put the recorders in whatever place they were in, correct?
In her locker at the barn.
Is it your sworn testimony that the only place you ever recorded a conversation was from Lauren's locker?
The only place I placed the device is Lauren's locker.
And where else did you record conversations?
On my house, my truck, in my pocket.
Did you ever place one by a dumpster?
No.
Did you ever record conversations by a rock where the staff members would go and sit?
I believe I just said the only place I placed one is in Lauren's locker.
Because if I could play that audio,
let me see that sidebar.
I got that triggered to sidebar yesterday. The bottom line is they will be able to, the defense, play some of the audio from some of these recordings that Robert Goodwin just testified to. And the case from the defense standpoint is that Robert Goodwin and his girlfriend, fiance, whatever you want to call her, Lauren Kanarek, who was on the stand for 2 days, they basically drove Robert Barisone insane. Because Michael Barisone insane. They would not leave his property, and they were gaslighting him. And the defense is that it's self-defense and temporary insanity. And they're trying to build these two up into these diabolical renters that won't leave, basically, from his horse farm. It's a fascinating trial. Joining us to talk about it, criminal defense attorney and former district attorney Matthew Mangino. He's in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and criminal defense attorney Karen Felicia Nance. She's in San Francisco, California. Good morning to both of you. Thanks for taking some time out on this Friday. Karen, to you first. These two witnesses are not, frankly, real likable. The star witnesses for the state, if you will. And just, you look at Robert Goodwin, and he'll be back on the stand this morning, just his mannerisms. He's sitting back, and he's just staring down the defense attorney the entire time. Do you think that, I mean, you can't pick your witnesses, obviously, but for the state, how are these two coming across, and how important are they to the state's case if indeed the jurors then at the end of the day don't like them? Does it matter?
It does matter. And the prosecution in their opening statement tried to head this off by saying that they aren't the most likable people, but that doesn't mean that the defendant is not guilty of these of the charges that are before them. So I think that it's really important that the prosecution tried to do that, but at the same time, their presentation in the trial is not stellar at all. So I do think the jury is going to be influenced by how they're presenting themselves on the witness stand.
Matthew, in your experience, do you find that jurors, if they don't like certain aspects of a case, that they could throw the whole thing out? What's your take overall?
Well, there's no question, Rob Goodwin, I mean, his body language is terrible. He's evasive when he really doesn't need to be evasive. He just needs to answer the questions. That certainly will have an impact on jurors. Now, whether their dislike for these witnesses, who are the victims in this case, they're not somebody, some eyewitness or something else. They're the victims. And if they really come across as unlikable, they may create a more sympathetic situation for the defendant in this case. So Michael Barisone can benefit by the erratic and evasive and sort of cocky conduct of these witnesses.
But Karen, it is also a leap because you just can't shoot people that you hate and that are driving you nuts. That's the problem here. How does the defense get over it? Does he have to take the stand and take people into his world at the time?
I don't think that he needs to get on the stand. Just his presentation in the courtroom, he does look disheveled. I don't think it's too far of a leap for the jury to make the determination that he may have been temporarily insane, because he looks temporarily insane at the defense table. So I think that they don't have to make that leap. Now, whether it's a self-defense, I think that the defense was really smart in arguing two possible defenses. I think that the self-defense is the weaker of the two. When you look at him, he looks clearly like that he has some type of mental defect. So I think that that is going to go in the defense's favor. Now, whether they feel that that was the case at the time of the incident in 2019 remains to be seen. But as we look at him in 2022, he does look like he's suffering from some type of defect at this point, mental defect.
Yeah, and they're putting forth these two defenses at the same time because that's the law. They have to do it that way in New Jersey. Matthew, you can't separate them out. Still, it is difficult to get over that bar, is it not, to get jurors to believe that you were temporarily insane and that's why you shot at this woman?
Well, the law in New Jersey, as in many states, with regard to insanity, is that when you break it down to its basic form, that you didn't understand the difference between right and wrong, that you didn't understand the consequences of your conduct. It's kind of strange to be presenting an insanity defense and a self-defense defense at the same time, because obviously you're acknowledging that you knew what the circumstances were, that you knew that you had to defend yourself against these people. So you understood what was happening in that manner, but yet didn't understand the difference between right and wrong, didn't realize the consequences of your actions. It almost seems as though these defenses are a bit inconsistent with one another. And that's always a problem, because you're kind of throwing everything on the wall and hoping that jurors, pick something off that they agree with. I think it's a dangerous defense to present both of those in a single trial.
Yeah, you really have to thread the needle there. It's going to be very difficult. We'll see. Let's listen to Robert Goodwin. He talked on direct about that moment where his girlfriend was shot.
Lauren said, I'll go talk to him, and walked down the stairs and walked over to Michael.
Did you see how close she got to him?
I guess she just got around the bush, and we were within 4 feet. That's when Michael raised up the gun and shot her twice.
Did you see him hold up the gun?
I didn't see him hold up the gun.
Did you see what the gun looked like?
I don't remember at that time if I remember what the gun looked like. But I did see the gun in his hands, and I did see him shoot Lauren.
When he raised the gun up in his hand, Was it above the top of that bush that you were talking
Yeah,
about?
he kind of stepped out towards her as well.
Karen, what should we be looking for as cross-examination of this witness continues here in just a few minutes? Yesterday was very aggressive against his girlfriend, Lauren, and it's tedious at best so far here. What do you think we're going to see? And if you were defending, well, how would you handle this type of witness?
I would keep him on the witness stand as long as possible, because the longer he's on the witness stand, I think the less likable he is. He seems, as Matthew pointed out, just pretty much checked out and nonchalant. And I think that is going to be the vision that the jury is going to have of him when they go and deliberate the case. And so I think that actually keeping him on the witness stand in this particular posture is good for the defense's case. And I see his body language. In addition, he does look over at the defendant every once in a while. So I don't see that there's any harm in keeping him on the witness stand, and maybe he will get more agitated as he remains on the stand. I don't think it's a good case at all for the defense, but if the jury can focus on these two witnesses, Mr. Goodwin and his girlfriend slash fiance, I think that the defense has at least a shooting chance, not a great chance, but I think that would be a strategy at this point based on how he's been testifying so far on cross.
Yeah, keep him on as long as that was clearly the strategy yesterday with Lauren, keeping her on as long as possible. We'll get a break in here. They're starting to assemble in the courtroom. We're expecting testimony to resume at any minute for the extension of that cross-examination. And we're going to hear these secret recordings that were taken of the defendant